Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Go ahead and take a look at the pitching for today, the 10th of May. It is Saturday. We do have a 4-game day slate and a 9-game main slate this evening. I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you do play on FanDuel, I'll cut my pool in half as you do not have to be as creative. Pricing isn't quite as tight. It allows you to get the stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. This is a first look at the pitching options on the day. It's actually my first look at the actual matchups. I did write down some prop numbers to get an idea, but we are truly jumping in blind ahead of time, which is kind of the way I like to do it. Obviously, I do this video that way. It allows me to eliminate some guys, brings up some questions when I look at things, and it forces me to dig deeper in some spots as well. So, let's jump into this first 4-gamer quick. Rodon, easily the best real-life pitcher on this slate. We just saw Will Warren dominate the A's last night. I think Rodon just has the upside. I hate the fact that this game has a 10 total with juice on the over, but he basically has a 1.5 to 2K difference in props from every other pitcher on this slate. He's sitting with a K prop of 6.5 with juice on the under. He's plus 105 during the W, while the second best is plus 175 on this slate. So he's just far and away the best option. Obviously, I think we need to stack the A's a bit as well, just given some potential to blow up. You know, obviously we saw this 3-start stretch early in the season, some walks, some home runs, etc. So, Rodon easily could obviously give up enough runs for the Athletics to be one of the better stacks, but I just think he's the best option on the slate. AJ Smith-Shawver coming off of his best start of the season, probably his best start at the major league level. I don't remember him having a strong start before. Still has walk issues. Not a huge K guy, but his K prop is 4.5 with juice on the over, which is tied for the second best, obviously. He's plus 205 during the W, which is right in the middle on this slate. Haney actually is plus 195 in this matchup. But, he's looked rough the last couple starts after strong ones. Walks are there, strikeouts aren't, etc. Atlanta has not been a dangerous offense of late. They could certainly wake up. Haney K prop at 4.5 with juice in the under. He's going to be in play for me, but I don't love it. JP Sears, probably in play, but I think the Yankees are going to be the top stack on this particular slate, and I don't really think it's close. So I may sprinkle in some Sears, but I don't want to go overboard. But obviously we only have 8 pitchers to deal with. I'm only really considering these top 5, to be honest, at this point. Last one I'm considering here would be Taj Bradley. Walks have been up, strikeouts have been down. That's worrisome for a young guy. His K prop's at 4.5 with juice on the over. He's minus 125. He's plus 175 there in the W, which is the second best on the slate. He just hasn't looked good recently. The overall Milwaukee offense has struggled, though. So I'm a big Taj Bradley fan. I'm going to hope for a bounce back in the spot. I wouldn't be shocked if he's my second or third highest owned pitcher on this slate. Let's jump to the main slate here. Forgot to take a look here weather-wise. That A's game, Tampa Bay game, warm weather. Great hitting environments. Main slate, the best hitting environment might be the best pitching matchup, aside from Coors, obviously. That Miami-Chicago game, pretty cold, a little windy. Feels like a pretty good spot for some pitching for us. So let's just jump into this main slate matchups. Miami, the White Sox, Cabrera, somebody that I'm going to play because he's facing the White Sox. He just is not consistent. He's all over the place. That's obviously what not consistent means. Game total of 8 here. Juice is on the over, but Cabrera's K-prop at 5.5. There are a lot of K-props around 5.5 or higher on this slate. So he is plus 200 during the W, while Shane Smith is plus 185. Smith K-prop is 5.5 with juice on the under. I actually like the way that Smith is throwing the baseball. I think I'm going to place him ahead of Cabrera. They're both going to make my pool because of this game and the offenses involved, but I'm going to prioritize Shane Smith over Edward Cabrera. Cincy, Houston. Game total is 7.5 with juice on the over. Both pitchers with K-props of 5.5. Very interesting. Singer is all over the place, but he does have massive upside, and we know that the Houston lineup has been pretty weak, so he's got to be in play for us. McCullers, if you didn't want to play him, I wouldn't blame you. He is a favorite at minus 135, but racked up pitch count in his first start in multiple years. It may take him a little bit to get going at the major league level. Big thing is we've been picking on Cincinnati of late. The last couple of nights, Schwellenbach and then Hunter Brown last night. So there's a lot of upside with McCullers. Just realize there's some downside too because of the rust, really. Boston, Kansas City, best pitching matchup of the day. Garrett Crochet, Cole Reagan. Crochet K-prop is the second best on the slate at 6.5. Juice is on the under, but definitely going to be in play. I just wish Kansas City struck out a little bit more for him. Cole Reagan's double-digit strikeouts in 3 out of the last 5 starts. K-prop is 7.5. It's basically a pick'em. The number one K-prop on this slate. He is plus 170 during the W. Tougher for him to earn the W because he's taking on Crochet in a tough matchup. But Kansas City is a minus 118 favorite. Definitely two guys we want. I prefer Reagan's over Crochet. I like the matchup better. I think Boston's offense is a little more dangerous than Kansas City. So take that for what you will. Kansas City definitely has faced Crochet, so I haven't looked into previous history. But, that could sway us a little bit more as well. Tyler McGill probably on the borderline of making my pool. Cubs offense cooled off a little bit, but McGill hasn't been sharp. Given up some runs recently. Strikeouts have been there, but there are some worries with some runs. His K-prop's at 5.5. And the Mets are minus 155 favorites. So I think McGill's going to make the pool, but he's probably one of the first ones I would eliminate if I want to trim it down a little bit more. Second best pitching matchup on the slate for me, Logan Webb, Joe Ryan. Two high-priced pitchers again facing off. Logan Webb, normally, obviously a guy that we play when he's at home, has had some strong road starts this season against the Angels, against Houston. Probably in a spot to have a strong road start here. This game has got a total of 7, which is tied with Kansas City and Boston for the lowest on the slate. Webb's K-prop at 5.5, juices on the over. Joe Ryan's is at 6.5, juice to the over. But Webb is plus 175, while Joe Ryan is plus 170 to earn the W. It's super close. Minnesota is a minus 115 favorite. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but Joe Ryan's Ks have been up recently as well. I like the way that he's throwing the baseball right now. He's been at his best when at home. Joe Ryan might end up being one of my favorite pitchers, which on the slate, which obviously could bite me, but weather's pretty decent for pitching as well in Minnesota. So that's going to be an interesting game for us to target. Dodgers Diamondbacks saw a ton of runs last night between Eduardo Rodriguez and Roki Sasaki. Now we get Dustin May, who's been all over the place in his performances. Strong ground ball guy, ton of upside, but obviously the game total is 9.5. His K-prop's just 4.5 with juice on the under. He's plus 180 to earn the W, while Corbin Burns is plus 215. I think I'm going to end up off pitching in this particular game. Burns had his last start skipped because of his shoulder. Not liking, that fact going into facing the Dodgers. He hasn't shown a ton of upside so far this year. So, I don't feel terrible deciding to pass on him. I know we did play some Eduardo Rodriguez against the Dodgers last night. It backfired. I said, if it didn't work out, it was going to really not work out. And it did, and obviously, so be it. He's a guy that we played 10% of. And if you can't sacrifice 10% of your lineups for upside, I don't think you should be playing tournaments, to be honest. But I digress. Corbin Burns, I just don't want to go there. I think I want to play more of a wait-and-see approach to see how his shoulder reacts to the time off. San Diego, saw them dominate. At this point, I almost feel like we have to play every pitcher against Colorado. So that means Kolek might make my pool. It feels gross. But he's plus 140 to get the W, which is tied with Brady Singer for second best on this particular slate. McCullers didn't have a win prop. His could be better, but I'm not really sure. K-prop of 4.5 juices on the under. That's obviously a worry. The 12 total, obviously a pretty big worry. But maybe we just rely on Kolek, who looked decent as a starting pitcher against Pittsburgh. Pretty sure previously he had been a relief pitcher. So that's caught me off guard. I wasn't on him in the spot because I just didn't think he was going to go more than a few innings. So, but 84 pitches is a good sign. Maybe we just eat it, bite the bullet and just take pitching against Colorado, no matter where the game is at this point. Baltimore, LA, not the greatest feeling going on here. Kyle Gibson is plus 165 to earn the W, so his odds are better than Joe Ryan and Logan Webb. Home run issues, certainly. Not a big K guy, just 5 Ks through 7 2/3, but his K prop sitting at 4.5, juice to the over. Big worry here is this game total is at 10 with juice on the over. With that said, I was looking at some K numbers earlier, and we will see that the Angels, second most strikeouts per game, averaging nearly 12 strikeouts per game over the last 3 as well. At home, averaging over 10 strikeouts per game. So there are just things that are lining up for Gibson. It's just, is Gibson decent enough to make them work? I'm not so sure about. He might make my pool. I just don't know. Like, the K matchups there, he's just not a K guy. A lot of worries, but there's just something about it that's intrigued me enough to have me write him down as somebody to possibly use. Last game, Toronto-Seattle. Game total on this one's 8.5 with juice on the under. Seattle's a slight favorite, but I don't think I want to use Logan Evans. I'm not really a fan of using pitching against Toronto anyways because they just aren't a strikeout team, as we just saw. 5th fewest strikeouts per game in baseball. Probably just can't use Evans to me. I was considering Bowden Francis. He's somebody that I've used. Just had some bad starts, but his best start of the year came against the Seattle squad. Whether he can repeat that again, I'm not really sure. His K-prop's just 4.5 with juice on the under. He's plus 220 to earn the W. Most likely he's probably going to end up out. I think as gross as it feels, I think I'd rather gamble with Kyle Gibson in that last man in spot, but man, there's some strong K totals in this, and then the bottom part of our pitcher pool just might look a little ugly, or we can just choose to go with fewer guys than normal, which might actually be the play, the more that I think about it. I wish Cade Horton was getting the actual start. I don't like this whole opener thing ahead of a guy making his major league debut who's been a starting pitcher. It doesn't help that he's facing the Mets either, but Cade Horton's a name that I want to pay attention to for future starts. But there we have it. There's our first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.